This is a great looking Superman figure. It's just a pity that the movie wasn't great. Hi everyone, welcome to 1/6 Figure Focus, and in this video we're going to take a look at the newly released Hot Toys 1/6 scale Superman based on the likeness of the actor David Corenswet from the movie Superman's James Gunn, or yeah, he couldn't really get out of his own way, could he? So yeah, look, straight away, like, I do think this is fantastic looking. I'm not really going to get too deep into the movie because if you've been watching the channel, you've been following the channel, you know that I did not like this movie at all. I gave it 1 star out of 5, 2 stars out of 10, whatever. I just thought it was a mess. I'm not going to go into the whys. I've explained that in various different live streams and different on posts on Instagram and stuff like that. If you love this movie, excellent, well done. If you're annoyed at me and really triggered because I didn't, I recommend a good therapist, okay? Because that's ridiculous. It's just a movie. Plenty of my movies, I like the Dark Knight trilogy. I know people out there absolutely hate Bale's performance as Batman and his voice and stuff like that. And yeah, it's fine. It's okay. It's just a movie. Like, I love it. You don't. That's fine. That's all they are. We have to remember, folks, they're just movies. So, did not like this movie. I thought it was awful. But I do think this figure looks good, and I'm not even sold on this particular suit. The suit has grown on me. There's things I like about it, but also there's things that I don't like about it, which are actually characteristic to Superman. I just think the idea of the red trunks, I think it's stupid. I think it looks goofy and silly, and I've never liked it. And I understand it's the classic Superman look, and people would say, that's the way he was in the comics. Yeah, I know, everyone knows that. I just think it's stupid looking. This suit originally, when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I really didn't like it. It wasn't kind of fitted to form. It wasn't form fitting because, like, he's a big guy. This David Corenswet fella. He's a big handsome man. He got pretty jacked for the movie. Don't think he was on the same level as Cavill, but he was pretty jacked. But I find that the suit really didn't show that off just the way it was on him. Now, I will say that the prototype. Let's quick look at the prototype. By the way, this is €273.76. If you're buying from Sideshow, it's already waitlisted. It's $285. This was only put out there, I think, over the summer, or maybe before the summer. It was put up for pre-order. It's waitlisted now. InArt have their own version as well. Look, it doesn't matter. People kind of like rant and rave about, oh no, it's on waitlisted on Sideshow. Yeah, there's loads of other places you can get these things. Okay, if you buy exclusively from Sideshow, yeah, then you might have like a first world problem. Just jump on the waitlist and it'll inevitably convert. I'd imagine people will jump ship eventually. So look, it's out now. That's unusual because, again, it's out. I say it's been released in Hong Kong. God knows when Sideshow will get their stock. It could be 3 months from now. I don't know. It could be today. It could be tomorrow. It could be 3 months from now. So $285. I want to make sure that $285, and it was put up for pre-order like a few months back. And it is unusual because these things take usually a year to 18 months to be released, but they are getting a bit faster. I can't actually find the window. I think the window for this was actually, I think it was like Q4 of this year, or I think it was actually next year. I think the window for this, the 6-month window when it delivers or was supposed to be released, I think it was actually 2026. So they got this out very, very quickly. And maybe that is just to starve InArt of oxygen, and people will see this and they'll FOMO in and they can't wait and they'll get this one. And there was, there's things about this one which are good and things about the InArt are good. So I think the body, at least in my mind's eye, on the InArt one, I think they do better, more custom bodies that actually represent the actor or actress better. I think the body and the suit are kind of better on the InArt one, whereas this one here, I think the head sculpts are probably, there's probably not much between them. InArt have definitely got the better dog. The base, a lot of people are saying the Hot Toys is the better one. That comes down to personal preference here. I really like the simple, elegant nature of the InArt one, and especially if you want a base of a smaller footprint. But that is personal preference there. That just comes down to yourself whether you want this kind of bigger one, which is a bit more environmental, has more of the Fortress of Solitude kind of texture. Always looks like kind of icebergs or something, like, to me, or ice kind of blue icicles. That's what it always looks like to me. Or if you just want the kind of small, kind of neat InArt one. I don't believe it's magnetic, which is silly because they could keep doing magnetic. The Crypto and the InArt is better. I think there's the head sculpt, you could go either way, and the suit looks better on the InArt one. well, the body proportions. The body portion in this are overly jacked. Like, look there, perfect example. That's exactly what I wanted to show you. This is the prototype image, the Hot Toys one. He was not that jacked in the suit, and if he was, the suit didn't showcase his physique on it. I don't think he's actually that big. He's a big guy, but he's not that big. Right, and Hot Toys tend to do that. We've seen that with the BVS 2.0, and we've seen it with the Justice League. Henry Cavill was, yeah, absolutely huge. The biceps were way too big. The quads were absolutely huge. Now, as much as... Apologies for quick interruption to this video. If you're watching this video right now, hit the like button, and more importantly, hit the subscribe button. It really helps me grow the channel, and the support is greatly appreciated. Back to the video. I have no skin in the game for this. I didn't like the movie, so I won't be getting it no matter how good this one was, or no matter how good the in-art was, or how accurate the whatever is. I think this looks good, and I think it's interesting the way it came out really quickly. So now people who basically love this movie can, you know, get this, and then maybe they don't get the in-art one, or maybe they get both, or maybe people who had the in-art one, if they have that kind of on order, they might kind of still get that one and FOMO in on this one, or cancel the in-art one and pick up this one. It's probably a smart strategy from Hot Toys though, because in-art, like, realistically, they're not going to release that until next year. I'd be very surprised if we see it this year. I don't think so. So what do I like about this? The suit has grown on me, although it's definitely not my favorite suit design. I think I really like the BVS one I have. I really like the darker tone, to be honest. But I also like the Justice League vibrant blue of this. So look, I like the way this is the really vibrant blue. That's the first thing. I like the way it's contrasted, the vibrant blue and the really bright red. I really like that kind of big, bright, primary colors, just like you'd expect from Superman. As much as I don't particularly like the kind of the red underwear over the suit, I always think that's ridiculous. It does break up the suit, otherwise it could look very, very blue. The omission of the kind of red underwear style of shorts that he has there in the BVS, I quite like. This one here, I think it works. I do think it works. I do think though, like, I'm just looking at a photo of David Cornsweet in the suit, and I think Hot Toys, I'm going to flick through these photos anyway, he's definitely not as jacked as he is here, which is good, because what's on the screen now, there's too much muscle there. Hot Toys overdid it with the muscle, whereas here, it looked like they've toned down that a bit, and that's good, because it looks a bit more accurate to his physique in the movie. I even think the suit was even a little bit looser on him. I do think that the red underpants are a bit bigger, and it's actually quite funny. They've made him look very well endowed in this, which is kind of hilarious. But you know, everything looks good. The dynamic cape, I presume it's a dynamic cape. I mean, did they show, is it a drape and dynamic? It looks dynamic. They're here, like, it's a wired cape basically. I don't think it comes with two. That's one thing I liked about the in-art BVS Henry Cavill. It comes with a drape and the dynamic wired cape. That and the in-art Batman wired capes were the ones that won me over. But I think if a character comes with a cape, they should come with both a wired dynamic cape that you can pose and also a drape cape that just hangs there. That should be the norm. And Hot Toys typically don't do great capes, but I think this looks good. I think the cape is very well posed. Again, that it's really bright. That's one thing I really do like about this suit. It's very, very bright blue, very, very bright reds. The yellow pops. It's going to pop on the shelf. It is that kind of classic Superman look. A lot of people don't like the techie kind of piping. I like that. I think it breaks up the suit. I think otherwise it can just look a bit too simple and a bit too dated. I like the texture. I like the lines. Yeah. And speaking of texture, if you look close in this, you can really see a lot of the texture here on the suit itself. Now I'm looking at one of these kind of behind the scenes shot of him in the suit, and I can't see as much of that, to be fair. I cannot see as much of that. I think it's there, but it just, I'm looking at these photos here and I can't see as much. Yeah, no, I can see there is texturing on the blue part. And I always thought that the S was smooth, and some photos it does look smooth, and other photos it looks like it's textured but not as much. So I think there's texture on the blue part, but maybe it's a bit too textured here. And there's a little bit of texture on the S, the emblem as well, but not as much. I don't think it should be. It's hard to find because he's like, there's so many different photos, there's so many different yeah, there's definitely texture on the blue part of the suit. I think they got that right. Maybe they've over texturized it a little bit. InArt did the same, I believe. And there's definitely not as much texture on the S. But at the same time, I remember seeing photos where the texture was present on the blue part of the suit and really wasn't on the S, or really toned down. And I've seen other photos where there was texture on both. Yeah, I'm looking at one here, and I've said texture a lot in this video. Texture in the suit is definitely there. Texture on the S, it looks like it's not there, or maybe it is, but not as rough, not as obvious. Okay, so that's just what I'm seeing anyway. I still think it looks good, whether or not it's supposed to be textured. Whether the S symbol is supposed to be textured or not, I still think it looks good. That's a terrible pose. Don't like that. Looks awkward. The hands look very plasticky here. Hot Toys need to sort out their hand situation. That's a really bad photo. That one should have been, no, that one should have gone. I like these close-up photos though. They really show off the details. I like that. So this here, the S is very prominent, very like not printed on. It looks like an actual. It looks like a big panel, and it looks like raised up as well, almost like. Imagine the touch of this is like kind of almost like a soft foam or something. So like it doesn't look printed on. It actually looks like it's a big piece that's been stitched on. I can't remember that in the prototype. Crypto still does not look great. The colors that started to show here, folks, I think. Like, I think if you're a fan of this movie, you're going to be happy with this overall. Some of these poses are a bit awkward. I think the likeness is good too. I think they've done a great job with the hair. Like, just the things that are standing out to me. I think the likeness is quite good. Might be the expression that I would have gone for. Of course, you got the separate rolling eyeballs function here as well. I think the likeness is good. I think the hair texture is incredible. I think they've done a great job with that sculpted hair. It even kind of has like a wet look. A lot of detail going on there. Like, for a split second, you might confuse it with Rooted. You can see that neck seam, of course, which is... yeah, it's hard to get around that, depending on what they... Sometimes they have the neck that goes all the way up inside the head, and then the head sits on, and the chin serves as, like, you know, obviously it looks like a chin, but the kind of hides the neck seam as well. With the way this is done there, it's a very obvious neck seam. The hands, okay, they look the right size. He's a pretty big guy though, so even if they oversized the hands, the body would be big enough to compensate for that, whereas the T-1000 had the opposite issue. The T-1000, Robert Patrick, back in 1991, that movie came out in 1990 when they were filming it. He's a lean dude. He wasn't a pick on him. He was a very lean looking guy, very kind of a I don't even want to say skinny. I think skinny is nearly insulting. I think he just had a very lean physique. Not carrying any weight, he looked healthy, but the Hot Toys body reflects that, but then it's like they haven't compensated and downsized the hands. Like, they used normal hands and they tend to oversize hands, so really exaggerated how oversized the hands were. So the hands look the right size though. I think they look plasticky in certain shots. I know it is made of plastic, but you're supposed to try and trick us here. And I think they're going to be happy. When I say they, I mean, those Gunheads, the Gunniverse, the Gunnians, the big James Gunn fans, like, because the likeness is there, the sculpted hair looks quite well. I think the suit, actually, I think they've done a good job of replicating what was on screen for the most part. I think the S still has a bit too much texture. I still think the briefs are maybe a little bit too big. I think they were actually a little bit tighter from on him from the photos that I've seen. I'm not gone the base. Really haven't gone the base. I like how well lit these photos are. You see the separate rolling eyeballs function there as well. The expression's probably a bit more suited to, like for me, like, I'm going to choose InArt over Hot Toys, like, if I'm going for something, unless, of course, like, say, if, I don't know, let's say, perfect example. Let's say Hot Toys come out with their Police Shootout Terminator from Terminator 1. And then InArt, obviously, they're going to drop their prototype images and put that up for pre-order probably, I don't know, next year. But then if they're neck and neck, I'll choose whichever one I think is better. I'll choose whichever prototype is better. But typically, for me, that does tend to be InArt. But the InArt one for this had a more, like, the closed eyes expression I actually thought was quite cool. But he doesn't really do that in the movie. And because the tone was a lot more comedic, brighter, not as dark, it didn't really suit. There's something though, there is something about, I think he looks broad around the hip area. I think that's maybe because the pants are they a bit too big? I can't quite put my finger on it here. Just looking at it. The briefs look a little bit funny. Actually, it's weird. In this photo I'm seeing the briefs actually come down a bit further. And maybe that makes it look, maybe that makes his hips look less wide. That could be it. There's something about the briefs there, but classic Superman pose there. Nah, that pose is okay. Yeah, the dog's rough. The dog is rough because on the right, like this guy looks like a human there. Like, I mean, two things about a good head sculpt. One, is it possible for a human? Does it look lifelike? Two, does it look like the human it's supposed to look like? And I think it wins on both count here. Both counts. It does look lifelike. It does look like an actual six scale person. At a quick glance, if Krypto wasn't there and there was a proper background, you might think it's a still from the movie. So it does look like him and it does look lifelike. But then you have the dog who looks very stoic and very plasticky. The in-art dog is better. The base, again, I prefer the in-art base, but that's just personal preference. I'd also prefer if we kept it magnetic, but I don't know what they're doing anymore. I prefer the magnetic base. I think it's a nice touch. This here, I get that people are saying, okay, this is the better base, but I don't think so. I think this, in some shots, just looks like a chunk of plastic. It's probably going to take up too much floor space anyway. I prefer the cleaner look of the in-art one. And then you have this, how does this attach? I don't know if they show how it's attached. I think it's magnetic. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that it's magnetic, but I don't know how. It goes on under the cape and it magnetizes somehow, but I haven't seen any reviews on this yet. I'm curious to see how that works, and I'm curious to see, I like that pose, really simple. I like the way that they've kind of got a bright light, which seems to be coming from like his left side. So you have that really bright area around his left shoulder. And then you kind of gradually have the darkness, but the colors still look really rich. The colors are the star of the show here. The suit has definitely grown on me a little bit. It's definitely not a suit I particularly love or anything like that, but it has grown on me a little bit. I will admit that. It's just a pity the movie, that looks great as well. I really thought this movie was a train wreck. That's kind of funny. I like that pose. It's a bit different. You never see him sitting down. I wouldn't pose him like that, but I think it's a good use of the base. I think it's quite clever, good use of the base. Maybe if you were diehard and you bought two, or maybe you buy the in-art one, you pose the in-art one flying or something like that, or some sort of an action pose, and you have the Hot Toys one like this. I think it's a good use of the base. Very Black Adam. Yeah, I just some great poses. Some great poses here. In fairness, I think there's some great poses. Some of the blogger photos are quite strong. Some have some awkward poses, and I don't like this. I can see what they're trying to get at. Like it's weird. It's not that I don't know. It's not that I don't like it. It's, and see what they're getting. Maybe it's the angle of the photo. The pose looks kind of cool, but maybe it's the angle of the photo. Yeah, in fairness, there's more positives in here than negative. Like, I think that if you're a fan of this movie and you're a fan of the suit, you're gonna love this if you have it on order. So yeah, happy for those who like it and all that. That's the end of the video, folks. If you want to support the channel, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, let me know if you're picking this up or not. You can also follow me on Instagram. That's it. That's the end of the video. See you in the next one. Good luck.